Today we are going to talk about SwiftUI. So this is some announcement which happened in WWDC 2019 by Apple, and this is, I guess, one of the things which Apple developers might have been waiting for. And I personally feel that when you are in the market with React, Flutter, then obviously as Apple you need to do something, and I'm happy that they bought something like Swift UI, which is already very much in a beta stage, or very soon it will be stable, as compared to Jetpack Compose, which I feel is not yet ready for for anything. So that's why I thought about that this is a good way Apple introduced it. And the only problem is that you need to have a MacBook, as well as the Mac OS 10.15, I guess it is. Yeah, it is 10.15 beta, so it is Mac OS Catalina. Then you need the Xcode 11 beta version, and you can only develop Apple related apps. So it can be for Mac OS, it can be for iPad OS, which is the new OS, and then for iOS as well, and watch OS. So we'll see how we can start with it. We will compare it with Flutter. We'll see what's good in here and what's good in there in Flutter. So that's what we're gonna talk about. So I'm just gonna open my Xcode beta. We'll start with creating a new project, and here you will select a single view app. Now we can press next. Now you have to give a name. So let's say my app is the name of this app, and make sure you have checked this use Swift UI, and then you will press next, and then it will ask where you want to save it. So we can save it here or anywhere you want to save it. Now so this is how you can see. So this is the inspector area. On the right hand side we have this preview area where we have this canvas where we will see what changes we are doing. Then here we can see this is the place where we will write our code, and on the left hand side we have the project explorer. So I'm just gonna go and zoom it a little bit, and then we can just hide this pane. And now, so we have so many things here. If you'll see, we have app delegate.swift, scene delegate.swift, content view.swift. So every Swift file is here, and just one storyboard which is for splash screens, and no other storyboard. So I have never been a fan of storyboard, and this is the reason I actually never did iOS development, because I tried once and it was so boring for me. Doing XAML and all this stuff was a problem for me, the XML, XAML or whatever. So that's why I even when I was an Android developer, I was searching for something better like Xamarin probably, and then Flutter. So Flutter is what we do as of now. But so here if you will click on resume, then it will give you a high preview of what you can see what has been coded here. So you can see we have a device which is the iPhone XR device. Probably there is a play button here which you can use to interact with this particular device. Then you have this is the code. So what's happening here, let me just explain you. There is something which is import Swift UI, which is kind of very similar to import Flutter material.dart. Then it's because it's all about Swift, so it's not gonna be material.dart at all. And then we have a structure here where we are saying content view, which is kind of extending a view, I guess. It's view is not a class here, it's kind of a protocol, and we can maybe go inside and we can see what it is doing. So you can do it anytime. Then on the bottom you will see that there is something like if debug. So when you are in debug, then it is generating some preview. So there is a struct content view previews, which the name is from this particular view which you are declaring here. So what it do, it also have it is just extending this preview provider, which is helping you to give this particular preview. So you just have to call this content view from here, and you can see the preview, so that you can do the runtime changes. Then now coming back to this content view, we have a body, and body expects some kind of view, and then you can specify views. Now the good part is that this is kind of very similar to what we have in Flutter. but what we don't have is the ability to pick from these kind of library. So if you'll click this plus button on the right hand side top right, so you'll see the library from where you can just pick the elements. Now the good part is that whatever you write here, it will be reflected in the preview, or if you will do something with the preview, it will be reflected in the code. So that's some kind of, you know, very easy to know about what widgets are there, or what views I should say in iOS, and what to do with those kind of widgets. So let's say if I pick a text and I just want to drop it here, it will give me suggestion that where you want to drop it. So let's say below hello world, and you can see it already made a V stack, which is vertical stack, so it's more like a column in Flutter. So now we can see we have two placeholders. Now let's say I want to do something here, then I can directly write, let's say font. If I want to specify a different font here, then I can maybe, let's say I want to give it a font of a title. Okay, so you can see it reflected like this. It's how it works. Then let's say for this font we can say dot large title, and yeah, this is pretty good, right? So now let's do one thing. So what I'm gonna do, rather than this hello world, I can say something like my counter. So we'll make a counter application. This is the title, and font is gonna be the title. Then we can also give it some color. So dot color is the property, and then you can just write dot, let's say red. So these dot font, dot call, dot color is what we call modifiers here. So this is called modifier. As you can see, my counter is on the right hand side. You can also command click here, and you can just inspect here, or you can embed into list button, or whatever you want to do, man. So this is all your choice. So I can just inspect here. I can maybe choose the font from here, weight from here. So let's try to make it bold. So whenever I will make it bold, you can see that there will be one property added here by default, and you can see my counter placeholder. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a variable here. So let's say if I have a variable called count, and let's say it's 0. So I just want to replace it, so I can just say string, and I can pass the count. Now what I want is, oh, it's not reflected, so you have to sometime resume here when you will do something with the state, or maybe when you will do some changes, so it want you to resume the program again, and then it will resume this and it will build it again, but it is kind of very fast. So you can see 0 here. Now what I want to do is kind of I want to have a button to add or to increase this counter. So what I can do, I can go to this plus button, probably it's your call, and I can just drag a button here, and maybe here or somewhere here I can drop it wherever you want. So if let's try adding here, I don't think it will work. So it can only work wherever it shows you, it highlights you that this is the place you can use it. So now you can see we have a button with an action and a text as button. So I can just replace it with let's say increase. Okay, so now we have increase, and here we have the action. Now what I want to increase the count here. So in the action I can just say, if you can see it here, I can just say self dot count, and I want to increase it. So I can just say plus equal to 1. So which means that whatever the count is, just increase it by 1. Now you can see that it is failed somehow, and is saying that, you know, there are some problems and blah blah blah. So this is happening because you cannot just directly change one particular value like this. If you are changing the state, because when you will change the value, the state will be changed. So if you want to do that, then you can specify something called a state here, and then it should be fixed. Now the compiler here is kind of smart enough to understand that what needs to be changed. It does not rebuild everything from scratch, but it just sees that what needs to be updated. So now if I'll just try again, it should fix. Yeah, build succeed. Now if I'll press this increase button, so it will not work. So what I have to do in this particular case, you have to just press this play button to interact with this UI. Now you can click increase. Now it should work. Oh, it's still not working. Wait a second. So we can click play again. So there can be some issues. So you can see now it is working. 1 2 3. Now what I want to have a same button, so I'm just gonna copy and paste this code, and we can paste it again, and this time I can name it decrease. Okay, I can even change its color, so I can say something like dot color dot red, and for this button I can say something like dot color green, and this looks good. Now rather than incrementing, I will just decrement it, and now if I'll just press this decrease, oh, this is funny. So it's 0 1 2 3 4 3 2 1, so something like this. So this is what we can do with this. Now let's say you want to go to the dark theme, because that is the new thing happening here. So you can just go to here in the preview part, content view, and you can just use this dot preferred color scheme, and maybe here you can just say dot dark, and boom. So you can see, you can just like with one line of code you can do this, right? And let's say if you want to align these buttons, so it's not looking good, to be honest. So if you want to align these buttons in a horizontal stack, then you can just click here, and maybe you can just click here, or what you can do with that, maybe you can just use something like this, just click command click and just embed in horizontal stack, and just copy this button here from here, and then maybe you can just paste it here. It should work. Yeah, so it's working. So this is what you can do. So this is the normal way of doing things with SwiftUI. I will make more tutorials on it. This was just a normal demonstration of how to work, how to get started with your first application. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then press the like button. Also subscribe to this channel if you're not the subscriber, and I'll be comparing more stuff with Flutter and how it is related. There are so many things. So what I would suggest, that don't just install Catalina, because it has many bugs. But if you want to play with maybe SwiftUI, then you can use Playground and with Mac OS Mojave, and you can do a little bit things, but this live preview you won't get there. So that's one problem. So otherwise, just start with it if you have a secondary laptop, and you can do this stuff. So thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care.